Hello and welcome back to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video, we're going to be thinking about how you can find the right critical sources and also how you can inject them in your writing in a really fluent and cohesive way. I'm handing over to the marvellous Mr. Mannerings, but just to show your appreciation, why not hit like? Giving that massive thumbs up is a huge encouragement for us, and also, more importantly, why not join my tribe by hitting subscribe for all things English, literary and grammatical. Over to you, sir.
So the first thing we're going to look at is what makes a critical source. A big part of this is credibility, as you see in the image on the right. The first thing we're going to look at is making sure you avoid unreliable sources. You've got to be really careful when you're looking at these sources, as they are not all as good as each other. Some you might find might be under-researched or unreliable. For example, anybody can edit Wikipedia, therefore you will not be getting an expert's view. And that's why it's low, because it's unreviewed. When you're writing academic pieces, it is absolutely essential that your voice is not alone. You gain authority by using academic sources to support and inform your own perspectives. So the kinds of sources you should be looking for are sources that are peer-reviewed. So as it says in the image, these are reviewed by experts. Just like you when you're writing, these people have other opinions to support their arguments and they've established authority. These should have a list of references. So they have clearly looked through and found as much information as possible to inform their opinion. As a tip on the side, these references can also help you find other sources. If they've referenced an article that sounds interesting, you should go and read that article and use it in your own work. They're an expert author, so for example with theories like Marxism, the expert author there would be Karl Marx. You should read some of his work. With feminism, it could be Mary Wollstonecraft, Simone de Beauvoir, anyone like that. And it's got a reputable publisher. This might be a journal, this might be a novel in terms of published works, like we referenced Marx and de Beauvoir earlier. This is not, as it says at the bottom there, a blog post. So when we're thinking about gathering our material, we're thinking about what we need to do to get this information together to write an effective essay. There is one huge tip that I think is absolutely essential, and it is reference as you go. For your coursework, you're going to have to reference all the sources that you find. This is absolutely crucial, as it will save you stress and agony as you go through your actual coursework. As you read your sources, you should be creating a bibliography as you go. This means you won't lose sources and have to try and dredge them up in months and maybe even years once you've forgotten the information. It also makes finding your information massively easier, and therefore your essay writing process will be faster. I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is my bibliography. I'm going to start with my reading of The Handmaid's Tale. So I start by putting a full reference down. This is exactly as it would appear in my bibliography. It can just be copied and pasted when I'm under more stress. When I'm writing my essay, the pressure of thinking about referencing is now taken off me. Underneath this, I'm putting key events. So I've got page 72, page 215, where I'm going to find things later. Where whilst I'm writing my essay, I can go, I need to talk about the handmaids blaming Janine. So I'm going to go straight in, find that page. It's very easy. Now, I'm going to add my reading of The Second Sex, because I want to apply feminism to The Handmaid's Tale. In my reading of this, I find an interesting quotation, so I add that there from page 23. But first, what is a woman? Totalia mulia in utero, she is a womb, some say. This is very relevant to The Handmaid's Tale, so I'm popping that in there. Referencing as you go will cause you so much sort of relaxation in comparison. It's the best way to do your research, and it will make the essay writing process vastly easier. The next part we're going to discuss is how we attach literary theories, and we're going to start with a quote from edXL's principal moderator, said that students should be encouraged to use broad literary theory and apply this to their texts, rather than using possibly unhelpful articles found on the internet. Essentially, it can be really difficult to find that perfect journal to support what you want, and students can get trapped into sitting at Google for hours looking for critics. Instead, you can focus on applying theories such as feminism, reader response, or new historicism to bolster your argument. You could even use historical sources to boost your contextual information to ensure you're supporting your argument at all times. So if we go back to The Handmaid's Tale, and we go back to that quote from the previous slide, this is really ready to be used when I write my essay. There's a clear relationship between the theory and the novel, and it makes it a perfect quote for me to use. I could also be paraphrasing arguments that de Beauvoir makes and including them as references. Not all references need to be a direct quotation. They can simply reference ideas. For example, I know de Beauvoir looks at women being historically disadvantaged, particularly with their role in the home. I can attribute this idea to her and still reference it without a quote, meaning that her ideas are still influencing my work and therefore I'm still gaining authority. Finally, we're going to look at where you can find your sources. These ones will normally take the form of journal articles, but remember the start of the video. We must always ensure that they remain academic. So these can be any type of source that we've looked at already, but these can be useful sites or places to find these sources. So you have journ.org, which is a series of free journals that are peer reviewed. We have Google Scholar, which again you can find PDF versions of scholarly articles. It'll be very helpful. We have Google Books, where you can find books like The Second Sex available online for free, and you just have to search, you can find excerpts of books, and it's very easy to reference. We've also got Google Searching. This is quite an important distinction to make. If I were to search Handmaid's Tale female body, I just get SparkNotes. If I search Handmaid's Tale female body journal, I get a series of academic articles. So you have to be clever with the way you're using Google and the way you're using Google searches. Otherwise, you're going to have to be clicking through an endless amount of useless articles to find what you really need. That's been looking into critical sources. Please take this advice on board whilst you're writing and make sure throughout the entire time you're doing your research, you're putting those references together and you're keeping track of everything you do. Thank you. Bye-bye.